Anyone who spent any length of time viewing my videos on my channel should know by now that I'm a really big fan of the Mosin Nagant rifles. I like the history behind these. I like that they were actually used to defeat the Germans in World War II, as well as many other skirmishes all over the globe. And I have various different models that I've bought and sold over the years, but really what I've landed on and what I've kept over the last couple of years are the carbine variants. So I have a 1891-59, which was actually a full-length rifle that was cut down to a carbine. I have an M38 Russian rifle, and I have an M44 Russian rifle. And while I do like the full-length rifles as well, I had a really nice laminate stock version that I think was from 1935, in between the two world wars. I recently sold that one maybe a year and a half ago to buy something else, and I've kind of settled on these three variants that I keep now: the M44, the M38, and the 1891-59. And they all have kind of their unique attributes. The M38, even though this particular one came before the M44, it has an M44 stock with the bayonet cutout on it. The M44 has that side folding bayonet, and the 1891-59 still has the rifle length sights that have been machined down to remove the long range targets beyond 1,000 meters. But really today, I'm going out to the range, I'm taking out the 1891-59, and I'm going to do a little bit of offhand shooting with it and see what type of accuracy I can get out of that. Now, normally I would do a preview at the range with a voiceover. However, this particular day, the range was extremely busy. There was 8 or 9 people besides me milling around behind me. So realistically, all you're going to get today is a little bit of shooting video with some overdubbed voices. And at the end, I'll show you what the target was at 50 yards. Now, these Wolf Military Classic rounds, they're pretty hot round. They were actually causing the bolt to stick after I fired them on a few of the rounds, but the head spacing on this gun is pretty good. The bore on it is in really good shape. Some of the reasons I've kept the carbines where I sold off the full-length 1891s, they weigh quite a bit less. They're a little bit handier to shoot, although they do still have very sharp recoil impulse because the round is huge, and you get some absolutely fantastic fireballs out of this thing. I really didn't catch them that well on camera this time around because the way that my camera was set up, I was a little bit out of frame where the fireballs were. You can catch them now and then, as you see here in the video, but they were absolutely blinding when I was shooting this thing. And that's part of the fun of the experience of one of these short carbines. You're still shooting a full power cartridge out of a gun that has something like 8 or 9 inches chopped off of it, but they are extremely fun to shoot. For some reason, the lug in the stock on this one that the cleaning rod screws into doesn't really accept the cleaning rod for some reason. I'm not sure if it's even threaded or if there's something else going on, but as you can see when I was shooting here, that cleaning rod was starting to work its way out of the stock, and I ended up having to take it out so I could keep shooting. Next, I'm going to switch over to some MFS brand ammo, which is a 174 grain projectile. This stuff used to be like $5 a box at Cabela's for 20 rounds, and I had bought probably 500 rounds of this stuff. I wish I had bought 2,000 rounds of that stuff when they had it, because now 7.62 ammo is like $13 a box for that Wolf Military Classic. I do have about 2 full Spam cans worth of the military grade steel core penetrator old school ammo from like the 1970s. The problem with that stuff is it's corrosive, so when I go out to the range, you end up having to take the gun completely apart when you get home, clean it out with 409 or some other cleaner that will eat up the salt from those corrosive primers. And in this particular case, I didn't feel like going home and immediately cleaning my rifle. I will clean it within a week or so, but I wanted to shoot some non-corrosive ammo, which is why I'm shooting that Wolf in that MFS. And you can tell just from watching me here that the extraction and the bolt opening and closing with the MFS brand is much easier, much smoother, and the recoil impulse is actually quite a bit less with that ammo as well. I think it's not loaded quite as hot, and it has a heavier projectile, which tends to give you a little bit lower velocity, and it's a lot more pleasant to shoot. Again, I wish I had bought thousands of rounds of this stuff when I had it. I think I still have around 500 rounds of it, but I wish I had bought a lot more when it was available in the store. I think of the three carbines that I have, the M44 is probably the smoothest action. That particular one I bought off a state trooper for something like $269, and it's been shot quite a bit. This one is actually pretty smooth for its age and the condition that it's in. And this is my target at 50 yards. It's shot a little bit right, but realistically, open sight standing up, that's really good for me. Now, despite what I could see from this gun not being shot a lot or really at all, there was still a lot of cosmoline in it when I took it apart and cleaned it. It did have a lot of rust on the receiver and on the outside of the barrel. However, if you look down the bore is shiny and smooth and clean with really good rifling, and this barrel was not counterbored either. So I think this was just poorly stored, even though it did have a lot of cosmoline still in the stock and the action. Wherever they stored this, it must have gotten some moisture on it, which is why the barrel and everything got rusty. So I cleaned it up the best I could, got as much of the rust off as I could, and gave it a good liberal coating of oil, wiped it smooth, and then put it all back together before I did take it out to the range. At some point in the near future, I probably will do a deeper dive into each one of these three carbines that I have. I would have put it in this video, but it's already getting a little bit long, and I'd really want to give them each the credit that they're due. Each one of the three carbines that I have is unique in its own different way, with its own unique feature set. So thanks again for joining me on another edition of Cranky Gun Reviews and another rambling, fun range video talking about some firearms that I really enjoy shooting to have some historical value. Have a good day. God bless America. Support your 2A rights. Get out there and shoot. And you remember, if someone asks you to give up some of your freedom for the greater good, remind them that freedom is the greater good.